Hi, Minesh here, and I'm really excited that one of the persons that I've been really learning a lot from for almost a decade. And he has been a mentor and a coach in different forms. For me, he's a great role model for anybody who wants to learn about building a business, taking great care of clients, teaching a system. And here is my good friend, Eric Lofhom. Eric, welcome.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, I personally have known you for a while. I obviously recognize your voice, and I know a few ways that you have really made a big impact for me and for the people that I know. So I just want people to get to know you a little bit. And because the time of the year that we are in, which is the end of the year, end of the decade, I think it will be good to talk a little bit about preparing for the next decade as well. So, Eric, most people may not know, some of them may know that you actually were a McDonald's cook, and from there you built a successful worldwide business.
Yeah, I started off as a cook at McDonald's, and I was going to community college at the time, which I went to for 5 years and never graduated. So I'm a college dropout and ended up going into sales. And I was terrible at it. At the end of my first year, I missed the quota, the minimum standard you had to hit 2 months in a row, and was put on quota probation. And it was at that time that I met my sales mentor, Dr. Donald Moyne, and he professionally trained me in the art and science of selling. And I ultimately became a top producer at that company. And I used that as a springboard to eventually start my own training company, which I did a little over 20 years ago.
Wow. I think the best part for anybody listening, anybody watching, is going to be that you don't have to have all the skills, all the talents in the world. You don't have to have a track record of being a superstar from the start to learn and then become successful. Because a lot of people listening, watching, I think quite often, Eric, they feel like you are different, you had things going for you, you got lucky. What do you say to those people about how you got your start?
Yeah, well, I started at the bottom. And so there wasn't really any luck involved. I mean, I had to put forth the effort. And if you think about it like playing a musical instrument, everybody starts at the beginning. And if you practice and you do the recitals and you have a musical instructor and you just keep putting in hour after hour after hour, and that's what I chose to do with the profession of selling. And if we'll put the time in and the commitment in over many, many years, we can become great at anything. And I planted my flag back in the mid-1990s and said, you know what, this is what I want to do with my career. And my ultimate strategy is continuous sales improvement. And you just keep working on your skills and you keep working. I advise 15 minutes to an hour a week, which is very doable. And nowadays with podcasts like what we're doing here, or webinars or books, YouTube, anybody can find 15 minutes to an hour a week to better their skills. But if you do it over many years, and in my case over decades, you can really get a strong muscle in virtually any skill set.
And I know the compounding effect can be just dramatic. I know you use a certain word or a phrase. Do you know what I'm referring to about continuous improvement? Continuous improvement gets the compounding effect. I thought you had a certain phrase that you use quite often.
Yeah, I talk about staying in the conversation. And okay. The idea around it is that here you and I were having this conversation. And if all of you that are watching this, if you enjoy this conversation, the opportunity would be for you to stay in this conversation with me. And I could transfer over, like if you installed software in my brain and I transferred it over to each of you individually, that's what potentially can happen over time. And so I always advise my clients to stay in the conversation. And my practical advice would be for somebody to spend 15 minutes to an hour with me a week and I have a variety of ways that I connect with people. And that can really give you an opportunity to get a black belt in influence and persuasion.
Thank you for sharing, because you have mastered writing scripts, teaching people how to write scripts, because one of the things I remember you talk about is people's reaction is predictable, right?
That's right.
So if you use positively well-tested arena of scripts, your chances of getting results are much better. I know you have a few different books. One of them is called The System. You want to quickly mention a couple of things from some of your books, which books you have written, because you have so much information out there available for people.
Yeah, really what I've done for the last 25 years is study the best of the best. And to really just explain what I do in a simple way, I'm a teacher. So I teach proven sales success tips to help anybody become more successful. And my two main books that I wrote, the first one is called The System, and it trains you on the fundamentals of selling. How do you generate a lead? How do you set an appointment? How do you build trust and rapport all the way through to how to close? My second main book is called Sales Scripting Mastery. And this is teaching you how do you craft a winning presentation to increase the likelihood that the other person says yes. Anybody can become better at sales with proper training. Now, not necessarily anybody can become a master of sales, but anybody could improve their sales skills. And if you're watching this right now, I want you to know I believe that you can get better in sales. And the way that we do it is by applying best practices. And it just works fantastically well.
But I agree with you totally. Now, because we are at the certain time of the year, end of a decade, and I know you're a big believer and you do this every year, you help people plan like a marketing plan, goal setting, and all of that stuff, which is very, very helpful for people. And you have great webinars with a lot of training, a lot of people join you on it, and they find great value because you are giving them some very practical tips on creating basically the best year possible. So with 2019 ending, 2020 starting, people who are watching, listening, I'm sure they have a new energy for doing something different. What are some of the tips you would like to give those people so that they can actually create a platform, a foundation for what they really want to create, their dream life?
Well, you make a great point about a new energy with the new year. And if you think about it, you know, people that are success-minded, people like you and myself, those that are watching this, when January 1 comes, we're extremely optimistic and we're excited about the new year and what we can create. And let me just give just a real practical reason of why it's a great idea to create a written plan. So I'm really into the numbers of success. And if you work a 50 weeks out of the 52-week year, you take a couple weeks off for vacation, and you work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks times 40 hours is 2,000 hours. So somebody who's going to work a full-time year, they're going to put 2,000 hours in. Well, doesn't it make sense to spend 4 or 5 hours in December to create your plan to then influence the 2,000 hours that you're about to work anyway? And so, you know, it just makes so much sense to take a step back and really look at, well, what do I want my year to look like? If you're in business, you know, like you and I, what do you want your revenue to be? What do you want your income to be? Where are your leads going to come from? How are you going to book your appointments? If you're growing a team, you know, what's that going to look like? And then you write it down. And every success expert will tell you that when you write it down, you're more likely to make it happen. So if you want to put the success odds in your favor, you take some time out in December and you create a written plan. And, you know, every December I do a planning class and I teach people, I walk them through, like you and I are having this virtual experience. We do a virtual class like this, very comprehensive. It's like a college level course on planning, and it takes about an hour and a half to go through it. And I give it away for free every December. And so, you know, any of you that are watching this, there's an opportunity where I could train you virtually live or through the replay on how to get your plan together.
Well, I think that's definitely very important to learn about it. And one of the things I've been really impressed lately when you talk about like a sprint to 2020, ending of the year, starting the year, and the concept you talk about is number of days left, right?
Yeah.
And talk about that there is limited opportunity in the time that you and I have available. And if you and I don't have a sense of urgency, we will skip that day and not really make the impact that we are capable of. So tell people how you see that and share that in a way that people can walk away saying, yeah, I should develop a sense of urgency.
It really comes back to that idea of the numbers of success, the math of success, right? Because nobody lives forever, at least us human beings, we don't, right? So maybe you get to age 75, 80, some people get to 100. Very few people ever get over 100. So you can predict how much longer you plan on being productive on planet Earth. And for me, it's September 12th, 2046, which is very specific. It's the day before I turned 76 years old. So I'm 49 now, and I have until right before I turn 76. So that's a fixed, limited amount of time. And when you realize that the clock's ticking, if you've got goals that you want to achieve, it says, let's go. Let's go. And it's not just the end of your life. It's, in this case, the end of a year. So we have, I don't know, there's probably 13 days left, whatever it is, in 2019. And so my mindset is I'll gamify, in this case, the remainder of the year. I want to maximize my results for 2019. And there's a deadline. It's called December 31st. So I want to squeeze every result as I possibly can, and then I'll deal with January when I get to January. So I'm constantly making it a game. And in this case, I'm using deadlines, time frames to motivate myself to take action.
Exactly. And I think for the next year, one of the games you have created is the game of 500. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. I have two different visions. I have Vision 500. I have Vision 550. Vision 500 is I want to acquire 500 corporate accounts where my company is training the sales team of 500 different businesses. And then Vision 550 is I want to give 550 motivational sales trainings next year, which I think would be a world record. And I'm actually in communication with the Guinness Book right now to see if I can verify that. In any event, that's a goal that I'm going to pursue from January 1 to the end of 2020 to see if I can hit 550 speeches. And again, that's just a game. It's a game that I'm playing. It's a vision that I've cast, and I'll track it. And then I will go out there and I'll pursue that goal. And it's just a way that I look at life. To me, life is a game. It's a metaphor. And if you think about it, just like a game like cards or Monopoly or Yahtzee, it can bring out a competitive spirit in us where we want to win. Well, if you make life a game and you gamify your life, that same motivation to try and win at Monopoly, you can do it in business. And so that's how I look at it.
Very good. Any parting words of wisdom for people who are watching, listening? Obviously, I would like you to tell how to access your information as well.
Yeah, the thing for me, as I mentioned, I'm a former cook at McDonald's and a college dropout. I've written 15 books. I've built an international training company from scratch. And I am the ultimate believer in your potential. Every one of you that's watching this right now, you have greatness inside of you. And what I love to do is just help pull that greatness out of you. And so the last thing I'd like to leave you with is that you are special, you are unique, you do have greatness inside of you, and there is untapped potential that is wanting to come out.
Very true. How can people get hold of you and your resources? Because you have so much good information out there. I know you do a morning podcast and all that stuff as well. So what would be a good place for people to go so they can learn more about you, benefit from some of the things that you've done?
Yeah, the way I usually start with somebody is free. So we have all these free resources. Then you can come and have an experience with me. And then if you like it, of course, we have paid services as well. The planning class that we talked about, we do it every year, planningclass.com. You can register for the current one or for the next year or any future year, planningclass.com. My main website is saleschampion.com, saleschampion.com. And you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Eric Lofhom. If you're an individual business person or salesperson, I'd love to explore how we can help you. And if you have a team, I would love to have a conversation with you and talk to you about being the sales trainer, motivational trainer for your sales team. Come along right alongside your sales manager and share all the ideas that I have to share to help your team perform at their highest level.
Thanks, Eric, for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I really am grateful that I get to have so much easy access to you because you're just such a generous person. And I know anybody who is serious about making some changes and also growing their own potential, which they obviously have, you would be a great resource for them to reach out to. So thanks again, Eric, for your time.
Thank you for providing the platform, not only for me, but I know you provide this platform for so many people in business to help them get their message out to make a difference in the world. So I want to acknowledge you for creating this platform so people like myself can get our message out.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity as well. So thanks again and have a great beginning to the new year.
Thank you.